Hello, Rachel Jackson here from Vox Fabuli Puppets. I'm trying to do a better job of videotaping what I'm doing, so I have sort of an emergency puppet fix this morning, so I thought, hey, let's videotape it and you know, let you guys see what I do. So yeah, let me turn this video around. You can see what we're dealing with. This is Ulysses the Squirrel. I made Ulysses the Squirrel here for Book-It Theatre's production of FLORA and Ulysses, the Illuminated Adventures. It's based on a book by the same title. And so he's been touring to schools for a kids show for several months now. Has actually been holding up really well, but they asked me to sort of do a quick look at him because his head is doing that. Let me show you that again. See his neck there? A lot of his weight winds up on his head stick here when they're operating him, and his neck is just giving a little bit more than they would like him to, which is worrisome. So yeah, we're gonna dig into him and try to fix that. Also, he has some detail patches here that's supposedly bare skin, because spoiler alert on the plot, the squirrel gets sucked up into a vacuum cleaner, so that's why he's kind of patchy looking. That is on purpose. And some of his bare skin patches that I did with needle felting are, you know, they're a little worse for the wear after I don't know how many shows they've done at this point, 50 or something, a lot. So I'm gonna fix those a bit. I'm gonna make his neck give away a little bit, and then he also has an arm rod control here, and they're just like, oh hey, can you sort of make sure that that's extra strong as an attachment, so I'm probably going to just sew that on a little bit more. Okay, so I've switched over to my computer camera here because I need my hands free to do this puppet surgery. And I think just so it's not disturbing, I'm going to turn Ulysses' head away from the camera so he's not staring at you this whole time. Okay, so I knew that there would be a lot of weight on the stick, so when I built him, basically I built a couple of fail-safe mechanisms in, and fortunately I think they're working. What's going on is that his head, the base under the fur here is a block of foam that I carved. His neck is a spring. So that he would have, you know, lots of range of motion because he's a squirrel and he bounces around a lot. So on the other end of the spring, if you know, springs have sort of loops at the end, on the other end of the spring, I buried it into the block of foam that is his torso, and then I cut a hole through the foam and inserted some zip ties in there, and wrapped those around his torso and through the spring. Zip ties just like this. They are so nice, and they're fairly resilient. Then after I secured him that way, I also put some glue into his neck hole to kind of keep the foam and the spring in place. The zip ties were just for a last line of defense, so that like if you're holding him up by the head, it doesn't fall off in the middle of the show, upsetting the children. So when I pull on the spring in the neck, I can see that there's some foam sticking to the spring, so that tells me that the glue is fine. It's just that the foam has given way, which is not a surprise. Foam is definitely one of the least sturdy, least long-lasting articles in the equation here. But it doesn't come out, when I pull on it, the spring stretches and doesn't pull out. So that tells me that my zip ties are still actually operational in here and that that's all fine. So believe it or not, I was kind of hoping I was going to have to cut into him today just to show you the insides, but I think this is just a matter for some more hot glue judiciously applied down his neck hole, and that should make things okay. So yeah, simple solutions are happy solutions. And now is what I'm going to say, I kind of wish I had a GoPro, because there's no wildly convenient way to show you what I'm up to here and actually do it at the same time. But yeah, this is his neck spring and his neck hole. So I'm going to hot glue basically down in there between the spring and his body. First, since his head is popping up a little bit, I'm going to kind of make sure he's settled down in there. You're a good boy. Who's a good puppet? You are. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of, you know, pulling it back, pulling his head back so I can get down in there with the very important hot glue. I'm using a smaller hot glue gun because they're easier to get into little tight spaces like this. And yeah, and then I'm just going to apply a lot of it. And now's the part where you have to be patient, and I'm going to really give that time to set, even before I attack the back. You want to, hot glue dries really quickly, but not always as quickly as you think it does, and so it helps if you can give it a little time and patience. When we move him forward, I do the same thing here in the back that I just did in the front. So now that we've got the neck problem taken care of, I'm gonna give a little love and care to some of these patches of bear skin, or squirrel skin in this case. Haha. Basically, I did these through a process called needle felting, which is you take basically colored wool and a barbed needle, and you stab it basically into the shape that you want. It's kind of a great way to do small details on fleece. But yeah, so over time it can kind of get fuzzier than you want it to be. Hopefully you can see that. It's kind of coming up, and you want it to be more down in the skin, because as soon as it starts coming up, it's like a sweater that gets little pills on it. You want to start pulling at it, which is bad, because then it goes away. Yeah, so yeah, the barbs on the needle help the fibers sort of want to bunch together and hang out together. So what you do is you stab repeatedly into the thing to kind of make them hang out. I think it's my understanding that like if you really wanted to, you could make a square of felt this way, but of course it's faster and easier to just buy a square of felt if that's what you actually want. This is for stuff that's, again, where you want fine details, where you feel like cutting out felt to do this patch would never look, it would look kind of blobby and weird, whereas as using these threads instead, you can sort of do finer work, and it melds a lot better with the background skin. You can see already it's a lot less poofy just from poking it, however long I was poking it for just there. Yeah, and then kind of the fun thing about doing this is that there's stuffing inside of him as well, and so this can kind of make that bunch up inside where we can't see it, so sometimes you need to fluff a little bit after you're done with this. But then there's this other patch down here that definitely has some stuff sticking up, so yep, again, just stabby, stabby, stabby. It looks fairly violent, which is frankly a little fun. If you're having a hard day, needle felting can really help you get the stress out. It's important to keep your fingers out of the way though, because this is very, very sharp. Yeah, so if you're doing needle felting sort of not on a puppet, where what's convenient about needle felting a puppet is that he has this foam inside of him, so he has his own stabbing block. Whereas if you're kind of creating something completely out of this stuff, which you totally can do, you need a block to work on, and people frequently use foam for that because you can stab into it. So it's like the puppet is his own workstation. He's art and workstation all in one. Frankly, I'm surprised he's held up as well as he had. To me, that means the actors are taking really good care of him, which is always nice. As someone who built him, to be like they really love him. It's so cool to me when you build something that the actors love to work with and take care of. So yeah. Great, so now we're just going to get to reinforcing his rod a little bit, which is just never a bad idea on an arm and rod puppet, or sorry, this isn't an arm and rod puppet, any puppet with a rod. The point where the operation rod is in contact with the puppet is going to take a lot of abuse. There's just kind of no way around that. It's how you work the puppet. So yeah, this guy Ulysses only has 11 more shows from what I've been told, but there's certainly no harm in giving him a little extra security while I have him here. I don't think they'd have dropped him off for this purpose, but hey, why not? Something else that I'm concerned about, just looking at him, the end of this rod, this is a rod that has a circular metal fastening. It's something people use when they're doing electrical wiring. I have no idea what they use it for, but for us it can be a nice way to give the end of a rod a lot of options in how it can move. And some people don't like that, but these guys wanted that for Ulysses' operation. But I've noticed that it's been bent a little bit, and so I am going to reinforce this connection here on the metal rod with some tape. Oh yeah, duct tape is a brand name. Sorry, I am not paid by them to say that, but I would sure as heck love to be sponsored by people whose fine product I use as frequently as I do duct tape. So yeah, if you'd like a puppeteer spokesmodel, call me. Yeah, that's gonna stick better. Because what I'm specifically trying to take care of is this really thin attach point between here and there. That's I'm afraid it's very thin, and I'm afraid it's been getting a lot of stress that it's not meant to get. So I'm trying to take the tape past the stress point without actually taping the rod to the puppet, and then on the other side. So that is why I wasn't liking the electric tape. I didn't feel like it was actually sticking to the things I wanted it to stick to in order to hold the thing together. 11 more shows! Hold on! Yeah, I like that a little better. So yeah, hopefully. And then we're also going to sew this, which I suspect will only help hold the whole thing in place. So hooray for that. I'm going to cut a small little piece of the fleece that's the same color as him to help kind of give something else for the thread to hold on to, because I don't know if you can see in there, but he's a squirrel, so his wee little paws are not very big, and there was already a lot of thread holding this on, so I'm just afraid of there being more thread than fabric at this point, also knowing the fabric's been under a lot of stress. So yeah, it's like when you repair a tear in clothing, you can just do that with thread, but it's a lot stronger if you put fabric behind it and then sew into all three things at once. Your repair is going to hold a lot better that way. Cool. So I think I'm going to cut this probably a little bigger than I need and trim it down later if I need to do that. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a little bit bigger than the thing, and I'm hoping it'll just give me lots of nice fabric for the thread to hold on to. I'm going to use a doubled up thread here, again, because this this attachment point is taking a lot of stress. I personally, for not seeing thread, I prefer a single thread most of the time, but it's way more important to make this sturdy than it is to be precious about hiding the thread, I feel like. Again, these actors are performing the shows largely in gyms and whatnot at the schools, so I feel like there's a lot that we don't have to worry about people seeing. Was a costumer friend in college who would say, "Will it be noticed from the back of a galloping horse? Then we don't have to worry about whether someone will see it from the audience and the stage." Right, so now just a simple whip stitch and trying to get it through all of the things I want it to go through so that it attaches nicely. Oh, double thread, I do not love you. Cool, so I've got it all sewn up. So now I'm just gonna put in some hot glue to keep the edges down for extra safety. I have to say, I really don't recommend getting your fingers this close to hot glue. I shouldn't be doing it either. Hot glue is hot, but you know, it's like cooks who touch hot food and you wind up doing some silly things. And I'm not in pain, so this one turned out alright. Hooray! And that takes care of Mr. Ulysses the Squirrel. As you can see, his neck isn't giving way anymore, so we fixed the main problem. Made his arm rod connection a little more sturdy, and yeah, his little bare patches are just bare and not fuzzy. So that takes care of that. For this episode of Puppet ER, this is Rachel Jackson signing off.